If you're drawn to real stories of marriage betrayal and women finding their strength, you've found your tribe. Please like this video and subscribe to stay connected. I used to believe in fairy tales, not the kind with glass slippers and pumpkin carriages, but the kind where two people meet, fall in love, and build a life together. The kind where trust isn't questioned because it doesn't need to be. The kind where forever actually means something. I met David Harper on a rainy Tuesday in March, 8 years before everything fell apart. I was 26, working my first year as a registered nurse at Providence Portland Medical Center. He was 28, a rising IT consultant who'd just moved from California. We literally collided at a coffee shop on Burnside Street. He was rushing out with his laptop bag. I was rushing in to escape the rain, and his Americano ended up all over my scrubs. "I am so sorry," he said, genuinely mortified, grabbing napkins like his life depended on it. "Let me buy you coffee, and maybe a new shirt, or an entire new wardrobe." I laughed. He had kind eyes, the kind that crinkled at the corners when he smiled, the kind I thought I could trust. We dated for 2 years before he proposed. It was simple, perfect. A hike up to Pittock Mansion overlooking the city, the kind of Portland moment that feels stolen from a postcard. He got down on one knee with Mount Hood in the background and asked me to be his wife. I said yes before he even finished the question. Our wedding was small, 50 people at a vineyard in Willamette Valley. My parents flew in from Minnesota. His family drove up from Sacramento. Everything felt right. He felt right. When he looked at me during our vows, I saw my future. I saw children with his eyes and my stubbornness. I saw Sunday mornings and shared coffee cups and growing old together. The first 3 years of marriage were good, better than good. We bought a small house in a quiet suburb 20 minutes from downtown. A craftsman with a front porch and a backyard perfect for the kids we talked about having. David's career was taking off. He traveled occasionally for work. IT conferences in Seattle, client meetings in San Francisco. Nothing that seemed unusual for his field. I worked rotating shifts at the hospital, sometimes coming home at midnight to find him already asleep. We had routines: Saturday farmers market, Sunday brunch at our favorite spot on Division Street, date nights every other week. We argued sometimes, the way all couples do, about whose turn it was to take out the trash, or why he forgot to text when he'd be late. Normal things, manageable things. I thought I knew him. I thought I knew us. Looking back now, I realize I was living in a photograph, a carefully constructed image of a marriage that only existed on the surface. But back then, in those early years, I didn't see the cracks forming. I didn't hear the lies hidden in his laughter. I didn't feel the weight of his secrets pressing against our foundation. I believed in us. That was my first mistake. The changes started so gradually that I didn't notice them at first. Or maybe I noticed but convinced myself they meant nothing. That's what you do when you love someone. You give them the benefit of the doubt. You explain away the inconsistencies. You tell yourself that suspicion is poison and trust is sacred. Year 4 of our marriage, David started traveling more. Not dramatically more, just enough that I'd look at the calendar and realize he'd been gone 3 weekends out of the last month. Seattle, he'd say, big client presentation. Or San Jose, debugging some critical system. The tech industry never sleeps, he'd remind me with that apologetic smile that made me feel guilty for even wondering. "I miss you when you're gone," I told him one night as he packed yet another carry-on bag. "I miss you too, Mel." He kissed my forehead. "Just a few more months of this craziness. Then things will settle down. I promise." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? It was around this time that I started talking seriously about having children. I was 32. My biological clock wasn't just ticking. It was screaming. We'd always said we wanted kids. It was one of the first things we'd agreed on during those early dating conversations, the ones where you test compatibility, like scientists running experiments. "Maybe we should start trying," I said one Sunday morning, watching a young family at the farmer's market, their toddler squealing with joy over strawberries. David squeezed my hand. "Soon, babe. I just want to make sure we're financially stable first. This promotion I'm working toward, it'll change everything. Better insurance, better salary. Let's just wait until that comes through." It made sense. It was responsible even. So I waited. 3 months later, I brought it up again. This time his answer was different. "You know, with all my traveling, the timing's not great. I'd hate to miss the pregnancy, miss those first months. Let me talk to my boss about reducing my travel schedule first." Reasonable, thoughtful, the kind of answer that made me feel selfish for pushing. Then it was, "I've been so stressed at work. I want to be in a better headspace before we bring a child into the world. And, my sister just had her second kid and she's exhausted. Maybe we should enjoy just being us for a little longer." Each excuse was wrapped in logic. Each delay came with a reason I couldn't quite argue against. But something in my gut tightened every time the conversation ended without a real commitment. Something I couldn't name yet. Other small things started piling up. David became obsessive about his phone. It was always face down on the table, always password protected, always in his pocket. When it buzzed during dinner, he'd glance at it with an expression I couldn't quite read. "Work stuff," he'd say, putting it away without responding. I told myself I was being paranoid. After all, didn't every couple go through phases? Weren't all marriages works in progress? I had no idea how much work was being done behind my back. Year 5 brought a new obsession: fitness. David had always been relatively active, the occasional jog around the neighborhood, nothing extreme. But suddenly, working out became his religion. He joined an upscale gym downtown, the kind with personal trainers and smoothie bars and monthly fees that made me wince. "I need to take better care of myself," he explained when I questioned the expense. "All this travel, the stress, I'm not getting any younger. Plus, I want to be healthy for when we do have kids." There it was again. That dangling carrot. The promise of children always just out of reach, always connected to something he needed to do first. He started going to the gym 5 times a week, sometimes 6. Early morning sessions before work, evening sessions after. He'd come home smelling like expensive cologne and protein shakes, his hair still damp from the shower. "How was your workout?" I'd ask. "Brutal, but good." Really pushing myself. He'd flex playfully and I'd laugh, grateful to see him happy, not realizing I should have been asking different questions entirely. The trips intensified too. What had been occasional travel became a constant rotation. Seattle one week, San Francisco the next, sometimes even Denver or Austin. His suitcase practically lived in our bedroom, always half-packed, ready for the next departure. "Another conference?" I asked one Thursday evening as he threw clothes into his carry-on. "Client emergency. Their whole system crashed. I have to be there in person." He was moving fast, distracted. "I'll be back Sunday night." "David, that's the 3rd weekend this month." He stopped, turned to face me with that expression, the one that made me feel like I was being unreasonable. "Melissa, this is my career. This is how I provide for us. I thought you understood that." The guilt hit immediately. He was right, wasn't he? He worked hard. He paid most of our bills. Who was I to complain about a few weekends apart? "I'm sorry," I said quietly. "I just miss you." His face softened. He crossed the room and pulled me into his arms. "I miss you too. I hate being away, but it won't always be like this. Just bear with me a little longer." I nodded against his chest, breathing in that cologne I didn't recognize. When had he started wearing cologne? Then came the condoms. I found them by accident, tucked in the side pocket of his travel bag while looking for my phone charger. A strip of 3, 1 missing. My stomach dropped to the floor. We didn't use condoms. I had an IUD. We hadn't used condoms since we were dating. When I confronted him that night, he barely blinked. "Conference swag," he said with a slight laugh. "They literally throw that stuff at you at these tech events. Sexual health awareness booths or whatever." I forgot they were even in there. I wanted to believe him. God help me. I tried. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like everyone was just talking about you? That sudden silence that falls, those eyes that dart away too quickly, those smiles that don't quite reach where they should. That became my life in year 6. It started with our neighbors. The Hendersons next door, who'd always been friendly, waving from their driveway, chatting over the fence about weather and property values. Suddenly, Margaret Henderson couldn't meet my eyes. She'd see me getting my mail and practically sprint back into her house. Her husband Tom started working in their backyard, only when David's car was in the driveway, never when I was home alone. Then there was the new neighbor. Bridget Chen moved in 3 houses down in late summer. Mid-30s, divorced. A real estate agent with a smile that seemed to know something I didn't. She was friendly to David. Too friendly. I'd see them talking by the mailboxes, her hand touching his arm, both of them laughing at something I wasn't part of. But when I approached, the conversation would die instantly. "Hey," I'd say, trying to sound casual. "What's so funny?" "Oh, just neighborhood stuff," David would reply smoothly. Bridget was telling me about the new coffee shop opening on Hawthorne. Bridget would smile at me, but her eyes were calculating. "You should come check it out sometime, Melissa. They have amazing lattes." I never saw her invite me to actually go together. At the grocery store, I ran into Karen Wu, someone I'd considered a friend from our couple's dinners. She was examining avocados with intense focus when I called her name. "Oh, Melissa, hi!" Her voice was too bright, too surprised for someone who'd clearly seen me coming. "Haven't seen you in forever," I said. "We should get together soon." "Yes, totally. I'll text you." She was already backing away, her cart between us like a barrier. "I'm actually in a huge rush right now. But yes, let's definitely catch up." She never texted. The worst was at David's company holiday party. I'd taken an extra shift to swap for that Friday night, wanting to be there, to be the supportive wife. I wore the blue dress David loved, did my makeup carefully, arrived smiling. The moment I walked into that hotel ballroom, I felt it, the weight of dozens of eyes sliding away from me, conversations stuttering, David's co-workers greeting me with the kind of pity usually reserved for terminal diagnoses. His boss, Richard Chen, shook my hand with both of his. "Melissa, so good to see you." David's lucky to have such an understanding wife. Understanding? What did that mean? I tried to ask David about it on the drive home. Why did Richard say that? About me being understanding? He probably meant about all my traveling. David kept his eyes on the road. "You know how demanding this job is." But that wasn't what it felt like. It felt like everyone knew something. Everyone except me. I went to the doctor for a routine checkup in February. Just standard annual blood work, nothing special. I'd been feeling run down. Attributed it to double shifts at the hospital and the stress of whatever was happening in my marriage that I couldn't quite name. Dr. Sarah Patel had been my physician for 3 years. Professional, thorough, the kind of doctor who actually listened. When she called me back to her office 4 days after my appointment, I assumed it was about my iron levels or cholesterol. "Melissa, I need you to sit down," she said, her voice gentle in that way that makes your stomach drop before you even know why. "What is it?" "Your STD panel came back positive for chlamydia." The room tilted. I heard the words, but they didn't make sense. They were in the wrong order, meant for someone else, not for me. Not for a married woman who'd been faithful, who'd only been with one man for the past 8 years. "That's impossible," I whispered. "There must be a mistake. I've only been with my husband." Dr. Patel's expression held something between sympathy and discomfort. "I ran the test twice to be certain. Melissa, I'm sorry, but the results are conclusive." I drove home in a daze. My hands shook on the steering wheel. By the time I pulled into our driveway, shock had transformed into rage. David was in the living room, laptop open, probably working from home, like he did most Wednesdays now. "We need to talk." My voice came out strangled. He looked up, concerned. "Babe, what's wrong? You look upset." I tested positive for an STD. I watched his face carefully, looking for guilt, for confession, for anything that confirmed what I already knew in my bones. What I saw instead was confusion, then shock, then something that looked almost like anger. "What? That's crazy. How is that even possible?" "That's what I want to know, David." He stood up, running his hands through his hair. "Melissa, I haven't been with anyone else. You know that. We've been together for 8 years. This doesn't make any sense. Then how do you explain it?" He paced our living room, and I watched him work through it, watched the wheels turning behind his eyes. Then he stopped, looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. "Melissa," his voice was quiet now, almost sad. "Have you been with someone else?" The question hit me like a physical blow. "What? No, of course not. Because I haven't." He stepped closer, his eyes searching mine. "I swear to you, I haven't been with anyone else. Which means either the test is wrong or..." He let the implication hang in the air between us. "You're saying I cheated on you?" My voice was rising. "I'm a nurse, David. I know how STDs work. I didn't cheat on you. Then maybe you need to think harder about that night shift you worked last month. The one where you came home at 3 in the morning instead of midnight. I felt like I was drowning." He was twisting this, turning it around, making me doubt reality itself. And the terrifying part? For just a moment, I wondered if he was right. I spent 2 weeks in hell. 2 weeks questioning every conversation I'd had at work, every patient interaction, every moment I couldn't account for. David had planted the seed so expertly that I found myself actually trying to remember if maybe, somehow I'd done something, touched something, been exposed to something at the hospital. I made an appointment with Dr. Patel again. Took another test. Same result. "Melissa," she said carefully, "transmission requires sexual contact. Unless you've been assaulted and blocked it out, which we should discuss, or your husband is lying. There's no other explanation." The word lying felt like permission. Permission to stop gaslighting myself, to trust what I knew in my gut. I came home that day and opened Facebook for the first time in weeks. I'd been avoiding social media, avoiding everything that felt normal when my life was falling apart. There, sitting in my message requests from 3 days ago, was a name I barely recognized, Jennifer Walsh. We'd worked together briefly at a different hospital 5 years ago, before I transferred to Providence. We'd been friendly, but not close. She'd moved to Sacramento shortly after I left. The message was short. Melissa, I don't know if you remember me, but I felt like I needed to reach out. I saw your husband on a dating app last month. My friend matched with him. He told her he was divorced. I'm so sorry to be the one to tell you this, but I thought you should know. If you need proof, I can provide screenshots. I read it 7 times. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely type a response. Please send everything you have. The screenshots came through within minutes. David's profile on some app called Hinge. Professional photo I recognized from his LinkedIn. Age, 36. Location, Seattle, WA. Status, divorced. His bio read, recently single and ready to meet someone genuine. I'm an IT consultant who loves hiking, good coffee, and deep conversations. No games, no drama, just looking for something real. No games, no drama. I laughed. It came out like a sob. There were conversation screenshots too. David flirting with Jennifer's friend, making plans to meet up next time he was in Sacramento, asking if she'd ever been to Seattle, saying he had a place there where they could spend a weekend. A place in Seattle. We didn't have a place in Seattle. I sat on our bedroom floor with my phone, and for the first time since the STD diagnosis, everything clicked into place. The trips, the gym, the condoms, the way everyone looked at me with pity, the way David could lie so smoothly about conference swag and work stress, and my own faithfulness. I'd been living with a stranger. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, I did something I never thought I'd do. I opened my laptop and searched for private investigators in Portland. I found one with good reviews, a woman named Patricia Reeves, who specialized in infidelity cases. Her consultation fee was $200. Her hourly rate was $150. I didn't care what it cost. I needed to know everything. Patricia Reeves worked fast. 2 weeks after I hired her, she called me at work. Can you meet me today? I have your report ready. You're going to want to sit down for this. We met at a coffee shop in Selwood, far from our neighborhood, far from anyone who might know David. Patricia was in her 50s, gray hair pulled back, eyes that had seen too many versions of this story. She slid a manila envelope across the table. It was thick. Before you open that, she said quietly, I want you to know I've been doing this job for 23 years. This is one of the worst cases I've seen. Do you have someone who can be with you tonight? My stomach dropped. Just tell me. There are 15 women that I could confirm. Probably more I didn't find. She pulled out her own copy of the report. The main one is named Ashley Torres. She's his personal trainer at that gym downtown. They've been involved for 5 years. 5 years, Melissa. 5 years. Since year 3 of our marriage. Before I'd even started asking about having children. She didn't know about you at first, Patricia continued. He told her he was divorced, showed her fake documents. She only found out he was married about 8 months ago when she saw his wedding ring in his gym bag. They had a huge fight. He convinced her he was leaving you, that the marriage was already over, just waiting for paperwork. I felt numb. What else? Patricia's jaw tightened. He has an apartment in Seattle. Lease in his name only. Been renting it for 3 years. Some of the women he meets there. Some he meets on business trips that aren't actually business trips. She showed me photos. David with a blonde woman in San Francisco. David with a brunette in Denver. David with a redhead I recognized as Bridget Chen, our neighbor, outside what looked like a hotel room. Your neighbor? Patricia's expression was grim. 6 months, usually when you were working night shifts. I thought I might vomit. There's more. Patricia pulled out another document. I found records of regular payments to someone named Crystal Matthews in Tacoma, $800 a month for the past 2 years. When I investigated, I discovered she has a son, born February 2022. He's 2 years old, Melissa. The coffee shop spun around me. He has a child? DNA test was done last year. It's his. He's been paying child support directly to avoid court records. How? My voice cracked. How did he afford all this? Patricia slid another paper across. Bank statements I'd never seen. He has 3 separate accounts you don't know about. And he's withdrawn $87,000 from your joint retirement fund over the past 4 years. Small amounts at a time so you wouldn't notice. I stared at the numbers. Our future. The children we were supposed to have. The life we were supposed to build. All of it. Funding his other lives. There's one more thing, Patricia said softly. I found a digital journal on a cloud backup. He rates them, Melissa. All of them. Scores out of 10. Detailed descriptions of encounters. And comments about you. What kind of comments? She hesitated. Maybe you shouldn't. Tell me. He calls you the placeholder. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't. Instead, I checked into a hotel downtown and spent hours reading every page of Patricia's report. Every photo. Every bank statement. Every entry from David's digital journal. The journal was the worst part. Not just the ratings, the crude descriptions, the way he compared bodies and performances like he was reviewing restaurants. It was the comments about me. Em still doesn't suspect anything. She's so trusting it's almost boring. Told Em I had a conference. Actually spending the weekend with God, the freedom. Em asked about kids again. Bought myself another 6 months with the financial stability excuse. Like I'd ever want to be tied down like that. I had been a joke to him. Our entire marriage had been a performance. The next morning I started making calls. First, I called David's best friend, Marcus Reed. We'd had dinner with Marcus and his wife dozens of times. They'd been groomsmen at our wedding. Marcus, I need you to be honest with me. Did you know David was cheating? The pause told me everything. Melissa, just answer the question. He mentioned some stuff over the years. Guy talk. I told him he was being an idiot, that he needed to stop, but I hung up on him. Next was David's sister, Jennifer. She'd hugged me at Christmas, told me I was the best thing that ever happened to her brother. Did you know? I asked when she answered. Her voice was small. About what? Don't play games with me, Jennifer. She started crying. He made me promise not to say anything. He said you guys had an understanding, that your marriage was complicated, that it wasn't what it looked like. We didn't have an understanding. He was lying to you too. I called 3 more couples from our social circle. Every single one of them had known something. Maybe not the full extent, but enough. They'd seen him with other women, heard him on the phone, made excuses for him at gatherings I couldn't attend because of work. No one had told me. Then Patricia called back. I found something else. You need to see this. We met again that afternoon. She showed me screenshots from a private Facebook group called The Alliance. 14 members. All men. All married. It's a competition, Patricia explained. They share stories, give each other advice on how to avoid getting caught, rate their conquests. Your husband is one of the top contributors. I scrolled through the posts. David bragging about his system. Other men asking for tips. Photos shared without consent. Women reduced to numbers and trophies. One post from David, dated 6 months ago. The key is making her doubt herself. If she questions you, question her harder. Works every time. Richard Chen, David's boss, was in the group. So was Tom Henderson, our neighbor. Marcus Reed, the father of my friend's children. They'd all known. They'd all participated. They'd all watched me smile and wave and host dinners while protecting each other's secrets. There's one more thing, Patricia said. I contacted Ashley Torres, the personal trainer. She wants to talk to you. Why would I want to talk to her? Because she didn't know until recently. And she has information about the others. She kept records, too. I met Ashley Torres at a park in Northeast Portland. Neutral ground. She was 29, athletic, beautiful in that effortless way that made me understand why David had been drawn to her. But when she sat down on the bench beside me, her eyes were red from crying. I'm sorry, she said immediately. I know that doesn't mean anything, but I am. I didn't know he was married when we started. And when I found out, he showed me divorce papers. They looked real. They were fake. I said flatly. I know that now. She pulled out her phone. I started keeping records after I found out the truth. Screenshots, voice memos, everything. I thought maybe I was crazy, that he really was getting divorced and I was being paranoid. But then I saw him with someone else. She showed me a photo taken from her car. David and Bridget Chen, our neighbor, outside the Seattle apartment, kissing. That's when I realized he was lying to me too, Ashley said. So I started digging. I found out about Crystal and the baby. I found the apartment lease. I hacked into his cloud storage and found that disgusting journal. She looked at me. You were never supposed to be the bad guy in his story. You were just convenient, someone to come home to so he didn't look suspicious. Why are you telling me this? Because he deserves to lose everything. Her voice hardened. And because there are other wives. I found posts in that group from other men in your neighborhood, your friend circle. This isn't just about David. It's bigger than him. She was right. That night, I made a decision. I could divorce David quietly, take my half, disappear with whatever dignity I had left, let him continue his life, find some other woman to deceive, or I could burn it all down. I chose fire. I created a Facebook post, not on my personal page, but in our neighborhood community group. 3,000 members, everyone we knew. I posted photos from Patricia's report, David with multiple women, screenshots from the Alliance group with names visible, bank statements showing the stolen retirement money, the dating app profile, excerpts from his journal, and I wrote, "My name is Melissa Harper. For 8 years, I've been married to David Harper. For at least 5 of those years, he's been systematically cheating on me with a minimum of 15 women. He has a secret apartment, a secret child, and has stolen $87,000 from our retirement fund. But this post isn't just about him. It's about everyone who knew and said nothing. I tagged names. Marcus Reed, Jennifer Harper, Tom and Margaret Henderson, Richard Chen, every person who had protected him. To the other women he deceived with fake divorce papers and empty promises, I'm sorry. We were both victims of the same con. To the community members who watched me suffer in silence, your complicity enabled this. To any other wives who suspect something but can't prove it, trust your instincts. You're not crazy." I hit post at 9:47 p.m. on a Thursday night. By midnight, it had 847 comments. By morning, David had lost his job. By the end of the week, 3 other women had contacted me with similar stories about men in the Alliance. The divorce took 4 months to finalize. David tried to fight it at first, hired an expensive lawyer, claimed I'd defamed him and destroyed his career. But when Patricia's evidence was presented in court, along with the bank records and the paternity test for his son in Tacoma, his lawyer advised him to settle. I got the house, half of everything left in our accounts, and a restraining order. He moved to California. I heard through mutual acquaintances that he's working some entry-level IT job now, living in his parents' basement. The tech industry has a way of closing ranks when someone's reputation is destroyed. Apparently, being exposed as a serial cheater and thief isn't great for networking. I don't feel sorry for him. The neighborhood divided, as I knew it would. Some people thought I'd gone too far, that I should have handled it privately, that airing dirty laundry on social media was classless. These were mostly the wives of men in the Alliance, women who perhaps suspected their own husbands and didn't want to look too closely, but others reached out. Women I barely knew, women who'd been through similar betrayals, women who thanked me for giving them permission to trust their instincts. 4 women in particular: Rachel, whose husband was in the group; Monica, who'd divorced 2 years ago and hadn't known why everyone treated her strangely afterward; Yuki, who'd just discovered her husband's double life; and surprisingly, Ashley Torres, who'd lost her job at the gym but found strength in solidarity. We started meeting every Tuesday night at a coffee shop on Hawthorne. We called it the Truth Tellers Support Group, though mostly we just called it Tuesday nights. We shared stories, offered advice, reminded each other that we weren't crazy, that gaslighting is real, that survival is possible. Slowly, I rebuilt. I threw myself into work, picked up extra shifts, saved money aggressively. I went to therapy twice a week for 6 months, then once a week, learning to trust again, learning that David's betrayal wasn't a reflection of my worth. I started dating again a year later, cautiously. A teacher named Michael who'd been through his own divorce, who understood trust issues and moved slowly, who posted photos of us on social media after 3 dates because he wanted everyone to know he was taken, who had 1 bank account and gave me the password without me even asking. I'm not saying it's a fairy tale. I still have nightmares sometimes. I still check phones and emails when anxiety spikes. I still hear David's voice in my head calling me the placeholder. But I also know now what red flags look like. I know that gut feelings matter. I know that secrecy and privacy are not the same thing. I know that someone who truly loves you doesn't make you question your sanity. 2 years after everything fell apart, I ran into Margaret Henderson at the grocery store. She approached cautiously, as if I might explode. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I should have told you." I looked at her for a long moment. "Yes, you should have." Then I walked away. Some apologies come too late. Some trust, once broken, can't be repaired. And that's okay. Because the most important thing I learned wasn't about David or cheating or the conspiracy of silence that protected him. It was that I deserved better, and now I have it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching until the end. Every like and subscription helps us share more powerful stories. See you soon with another unforgettable tale.